All right, this webinar is being recorded and it will be made available later on for those who either could not attend and wish to, or for those of you who are attending now and would like to review something that you heard, or would like to go over something again, or perhaps would like to share it with some other folks. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Prue. I am the accessibility evangelist here at the company that I work for is Fable. And at Fable, what we focus on is connecting websites and apps and connecting companies with people with disabilities to test the accessibility of their online apps and products, because accessibility isn't just a checklist. And in order to make truly accessible websites, apps, and products, people with disabilities need to be involved from, the very early steps all the way through the development of an app or website. And so we employ a number of people with disabilities in our testing community who do test those apps and websites and who work for us on a contract basis. However, Fable is not what I'm here to talk about tonight. Tonight we're talking about Bookshare, and so I'm really pleased to introduce Vanessa Lombardo. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
You did, and thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. As said, my name is Vanessa Lombardo. I'm an outreach coordinator at Bookshare, and my background is as a special education teacher and an assistive technology specialist, and in the past, really focusing on employment and using assistive technology in the workplace. So I'm really glad to be here, and I'm very excited about what we're going to talk about.
Absolutely, employment is so important and is such a need. Speaking of employment, and also with me on our panel tonight is Lynette, who is our community manager here at Fable, and so she focuses on recruiting and managing our community of testers with a disability. Why don't you introduce yourself, Lynette?
Thanks, Sam. As Sam said, my name is Lynette, and I hail from Canada, and I am the community manager for Fable. So I oversee everything that has to do with our testers, everything from their initial application to interviewing, recruiting, onboarding, and their lifetime as a tester at Fable. And I also dabble in a little bit dealing with customers and making sure that I can match up customers with testers and that everybody is satisfied.
Awesome. And lastly, but far from leastly, importantly, we've got one of our community testers here at Fable, who is a longtime Bookshare user himself, and who you will be hearing some demos from, and who will be helping to answer some of your questions throughout tonight's presentation. Darren, take it away.
Hi, my name is Darren Reed, and like Sam said, I'm a tester with Fable. I'm also a Bookshare user, and I hope to have a positive demonstration on something that right now is in the testing process for Bookshare, and it's they are right now currently beta testing the Bookshare Alexa skill.
Absolutely, and we'll be hearing more about that as the presentation continues. It's super exciting and something that I'm really looking forward to as it heads towards release, because it's going to make accessing books even easier than it already is when you're a member with Bookshare, and that's really a focus for them, because reading is empowerment, not just in education, but in all parts of life. Hey, before we get started here tonight, couple of other housekeeping things. For those of you who would find it easier to have captions, automatic captions have been enabled for this meeting if you are joining from your web browser or your computer. There is a button near the bottom of your screen that will allow you to enable live captions and be able to read those along with us this evening. For those of you who have questions, if you have questions as the presentation goes on, there is a Q&A button. And if you press that button, there will be a box where you can input your questions. Any questions that you have, we will get to at the end of the presentation. But if you would like to note them down as you think of them so that you don't forget, you're absolutely able to do that using the Q&A panel. And if you have other comments or feedback, there is also a chat button. It will probably be called Open Chat Panel if you are on the web browser or desktop Zoom apps with us tonight. Those of you who are dialing in by phone, you of course will not have access to those various panels. However, please do not feel left out at all. If you have a question, when we take questions at the end of our presentation, you will be able to raise your hand. You can dial star or asterisk and 9, and that will raise your hand via the telephone interface. And that way we will know that you have a question and that you'd like to ask a question, and we will unmute you so that you can do that during our question and answer period at the end of tonight's presentation. All right, all of that said, that is the housekeeping done and over with. So let's dive right in. You know, there's a quote from Bill Gates that I think is really important and really critical, both when we talk about employment and when we talk about upskilling. On the slide here, we have a quote from him, and he says, "Power comes not from knowledge kept, but from knowledge shared." And that's really important because knowledge is what it's all about. It's about having skills, it's about having knowledge, and that's how you are able to gain employment and become part of the career world. It's sometimes they will tell you it's about who you know, but that's only true to a certain extent. Really, it's about what you know. You know, in the workforce today, automation, digitization, these are terms that you've probably heard, and you've probably heard a lot about how, oh my goodness, the artificial intelligences, they're coming to take our job. And you know what? That's not necessarily true. For every job that is taken by a computer, or for every job that is automated, that job is changed. And so in order to stay competitive in the employment world, what you need to be doing is you need to be constantly improving your skills. You need to constantly be learning new things, because too often we think, all right, I'm done with high school, I'm done with college, education, I don't want to do that anymore, I'm done learning. And that's just not the case in the modern workforce. It's all about lifelong learning. And another thing that it's all about is soft skills. It's being a good manager. It's being a good communicator. It's being a good listener. It's something that I've had to learn as I do my job here as the accessibility evangelist at Fable, being a good presenter. And that involves not only, you know, verbal communication like I'm doing tonight, it involves physical communication. It involves the creation of good slides. There are so many soft skills that they don't teach you in any school. And, you know, thanks to Bookshare and thanks to the availability of literature and books, self-directed learning is more accessible than ever. Because with a digital title, for the first time, you can think, hey, I want to learn about this subject. And you could log on to Bookshare and you can download that book and you can really just start to learn about it on your own pace. And because it's digital, as opposed to, you know, an audiobook or human narrated, you can skip around. You can go from one chapter to another. You can look up exactly the thing that you're interested in. You can add bookmarks. You can take notes. You can highlight pieces. You can copy things. And so it makes learning so much easier. And so I want to take a minute to talk about that, because I've been on a really long, crooked career journey. I went to college back in the day, well, university as we call it in Canada, for journalism. And of course, a few years ago, maybe you remember, it's when the newspapers and the journalism industry were just really starting to fall on hard times because of digitization and because of the kind of online, you know, ways that journalism and that the news was changing. So I got out and I was looking for a job, And I know many of you have had the experience. You look and look and look, and there's no steady work to be found. And so what I did is I said, well, I have a lot of other skills. I have a lot of technical skills, but they're not quite where they could be. I want to work. I want to do a little bit of freelance work, hosting people's websites, creating websites for them. And it's something that I've done for myself all of my life. But before I did it for others, I thought I really need to learn about this field. And thankfully, because I had gotten access to Bookshare while I was in university and I had kept that with me after I graduated, I was able to log on to Bookshare and I was able to get access to not just technology books from 10 or 15 years ago, but technology books from 2 weeks ago from the likes of O'Reilly, one of the biggest tech publishers in the industry, from the likes of Peach Pit, from all of these really exciting and interesting places. And so I did that for a little while. I did some freelancing. After a while, cryptocurrency became a thing. And I wanted to create my own startup to get into mining and speculation. This was back in 2012 when these things were super new. And once again, Bookshare was able to come to the rescue because you might think, oh wow, that's a super niche topic, and there's not going to be they're not going to have anything on that, and you're just going to have to find out everything you need from Google. But three of the best books that I have ever read about cryptocurrency are available on Bookshare. And not only that, books about how to incorporate, how to start my business, how to be an entrepreneur, things that I could not otherwise have found out and that I could not otherwise have known were available to me on Bookshare. Later on, I would come to work here at Fable. I started off as one of Fable's very first employees and an accessibility tester. And as I did, I wanted to brush up on skills like WCAG, on accessibility testing, because I was an expert in screen reader accessibility. I'm completely blind and a full-time screen reader user. But I wasn't necessarily an expert on captions or color contrast or any of those other things. And once again, Bookshare was there to help, and it had the titles that I needed. And eventually, as I continued to work with Fable, I would become Fable's community manager before Lynette was. And I had been a freelancer all my life. I had gone to school for journalism. I knew nothing about management. I knew nothing about how to be a good manager of people or how to manage projects. But once again, Bookshare was there for me with titles about project management, with titles about people management, with titles about how to build a good leadership and office structure. And of course, now I've transitioned to being Fable's accessibility evangelist. And so I spend every day talking to companies about why they should do accessibility, about why accessibility matters, about why testing your accessibility efforts with real users matters, and about how they should do it. And Bookshare, once again, was there for me with titles about sales, with titles about networking, with titles about how to be an influencer, and with titles not only about how to be a good verbal communicator, how to be a good presenter, how to use body language, how to create slides, how to think and how to talk about brands and about companies. And so, without the constant upskilling that was provided to me by Bookshare throughout my entire employment career, not only would I not be here today, I wouldn't have had a startup. I wouldn't have gotten those first experiences freelancing, and I wouldn't have gotten any of the promotions or any of the moves that I have experienced throughout a really long and fascinating career journey that I could talk about for hours, but I won't. And so, even to this day, one of my quarterly goals as I work at the company is to read 8 books related to what I do every quarter so that I continue to upskill and so that I continue to grow. Because at Fable, we prioritize learning and we know that learning and upskilling is so important. And every other employer I know feels the same way. And speaking of that, I would like to show you a little video from Abid, who's one of the founders here at Fable, talking about why learning and upskilling is so important to him and all of the employees that he picks. Vanessa, do you have that?
Yes, there it is.
Hey, I'm Abid here from Fable, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about the role that reading plays here in our culture and in what we're building. Reading and learning are not just part of upskilling when it comes to how we think about it, the way it fits into work. We have a really core goal of building an inquisitive culture, valuing more than just diversity from a demographic standpoint, but really diversity in thought. And we really pride ourselves at Fable in hearing from people who have different perspectives and creating a space for difficult conversations, but ones that are well informed. And a big part of making that possible is equipping the team that we have with the resources they need to learn about the topics that are shaping our lives. And we think providing access to that information and creating space for those conversations is one of the core functions as an employer who cares about diversity. For many of our colleagues, reading is actually a key professional development metric that is selected for themselves to focus on. And when it comes to having access to Bookshare, the accessibility of it, the range of titles, the ease of use that Bookshare offers, it really fits the bill for Fable. And it makes it possible for us to, not just foster the types of conversations that drive us forward as a team, but that drives every individual forward and opens our eyes to new things and makes us part of a community that engages in meaningful conversations. And we're hugely grateful to be able to do that. So thank you.
Absolutely. And that's why Bookshare is a very close partner with us here at Fable, and every person with a disability who works as a tester in our community, and every person with a disability who works as an employee here at Fable gets fully paid, fully funded access to Bookshare because that learning is so important. But I've talked a lot about what why Bookshare matters, why learning matters, why upskilling matters. But I'm going to turn it over to Lynette to talk to us a little bit more about what Bookshare actually is and how it can really help in kind of a more realistic and grounded way.
Thanks, Sam. So if you've never heard of Bookshare before, you're probably wondering what it is and you want a little bit more information. So Bookshare is an ebook library that enables students and adults with reading barriers to read in a way that works for them. They have the world's most extensive collection of accessible ebooks. There's currently over 1 million titles in 34 languages. I'm totally amazed every time I go on the site at how many books are there. There are books in every genre that you can think of. And I know that their collection development team is always adding additional titles. Also, books in the collection are released the same day as the actual print book, which is great if you remember the olden days when you used to have to wait a couple of months for the commercial audiobook to come out, or for the book to be available with your library service. And that could take forever. So we definitely appreciate that. Under copyright law, someone who qualifies for Bookshare falls under 3 different categories. So that's someone who is totally blind, visually impaired or low vision, has a physical disability or learning disability. The person has to qualify to use Bookshare, and they must fall under one of 3 of these categories. So you must be blind or low vision, have a physical disability or a learning disability, some way that affects the way that you interact with traditional print. One of the other great things about Bookshare is that you can read on virtually any device. And I know we'll cover this a little bit later, but maybe you're like me and you take your phone everywhere. And so you would like to work from your, read from your phone. And there are a number of different apps that will allow you to do that. Or maybe you like to use your laptop. Or maybe once the A skill is available, then you will like to use that. I know I'm pretty excited about that myself. So what kinds of things can you learn on Bookshare? Well, there's upskilling and reskilling, which some of the things that you can learn this way are like career choice and career assessment, what you're really meant to do. What's your type of career? Do you want to be a software programmer? Do you want to learn analytical skills? Do you want to learn how to set up a business? Or maybe you want, like Sam, to learn presentation skills and tools for business. There are also books on high impact interview questions, books like 101 questions to ask on your interview. And that's very important. Job interviews are crucial and they can be very complex processes to go through. So it's definitely good to be prepared. You can also gather industry knowledge. So industry specific books under careers resources. There's also practical skills for job applications. There's current events, news, and periodicals. And I know you folks are all in somewhere in the New York State. So we have things like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and then Bookshare also has more state-specific periodicals. So things like Newsday, Buffalo News, Albany Times, White Plains Journal, things like that. So Bookshare offers a wealth of resources, and I have been a Bookshare member for years, and I have also been on my own crooked career path. I don't think I will get into that, but definitely, you know, going into management for the first time, Bookshare has definitely helped me develop my leadership skills. You know, I love to read, and I definitely love to read fiction. It's my favorite thing to read. I'm a big sci-fi fan, but you know, I also love to learn, and I've definitely had a lot to learn since I took over as community manager, and Bookshare has helped me immensely in the last 4 months to get a handle on my job and to grow and learn and do better at it. So I hope that this presentation, you will find it very helpful, and you will sign up for Bookshare, and it will help you in whatever way you need, whether it be learning and upskilling in your career, or just, you know, in your personal life for fun and interesting reading. So now I will turn it over to Sam. And I think we're going to do the demo next.
Absolutely. You know, one of the two things that Bookshare focuses on are having that really broad array of titles for you to access, to make sure that you can get access to you know, any book on any subject that you could want, and that it's available quickly, so that you can keep up with your industry. But their second focus, and that's equally as important to them, is making sure that you can access books quickly, making sure that when you want a book, it's not, oh, well, I have to put in a special order and then it'll be produced in Braille in 6 to 8 weeks and then it's going to be mailed to me. It's not that at all. You can think about what you want to read, and you can be reading it in minutes or less. And as part of that, one of the things that Bookshare is doing is rolling out a skill on Amazon that will help you be able to read a book not using a computer, not using a phone, but just using your voice. And so to demo that, we've got a pre-recorded video demo here from Darren of that feature that I don't think has been talked about too publicly by Bookshare yet, and I think this might be sort of its first public announcement that they are doing this and that it is in beta, and you know, they're working towards rolling it out and towards bringing something new and revolutionary to folks. So Vanessa, can you play us that demo?
So I am, unfortunately, it is not playing. I did stop the screen share, but I wondered, Darren, if you wouldn't mind just talking about it a little bit, kind of explaining it as Sam said, and I will do my best to get it up. So I will do that. But Darren, if you wouldn't mind just talking about it.
Sure.
I know you've been intricately involved, which is great.
Yeah, I am part of a advisory panel with Bookshare, and a lot of the way that this is being done is dictated by Amazon. They have, which I didn't realize, they have very precise rules that you have to follow. They have a very precise step-by-step process when you are beta testing a skill. And because of that, there were special invites that were sent out to a number of Bookshare users, and based on their response, whether you wanted to test the skill or not. That's how I initially got involved with it. But because I gravitate towards anything technology-wise, anything that has a plug or a battery, I figure it's some way I can make that help my life and make my life a little bit better. So I want to learn about it. So when I heard about it, immediately I thought there are going to be thousands and thousands of blind and visually impaired people, handicapped people that will utilize this. And I wanted to be part of making that possible. Right now, we are at the very beginning rudimentary level of testing. So right now you tell the skill, you say, Miss A, launch Bookshare, or whatever your wake word is, but you say launch Bookshare. It'll take a few seconds. She will start talking and she will ask you, do you want to pick up reading where you left off from your current book, or do you want to hear your list of books? If you say you want to continue reading, she will start right where you left off. If you say, no, I don't want to do that, then you say list of books and she will read your list of books. Now, for anyone who's familiar with Bookshare and you know the process of actually going to the Bookshare website, getting a book, picking a book list that you want to put it on, you choose your download format. Well, because of there are a lot of people that type of step-by-step process terrifies them. And there are a lot of people, and not to offend anyone, but when they talk about this with Bookshare, they say there are a lot of seniors that will be frightened away from this because the step-by-step process kind of puts them on edge and makes them a little afraid of technology. And so they're trying to get all that fear out of it. And when the Alexa skill is released to the public, the ultimate goal is for anybody to never even have to look at the Bookshare website. You don't have to know what it looks like. You don't have to know how to do any of that, to be able to just talk to your device and by using your words, do exactly what you would do searching for a book on the website, downloading that book, listening to that book. Currently, we have a bookshelf that they have created for beta testers called, it's just the Alexa bookshelf. And so we add those books to that bookshelf. You tell Bookshare you want to download in audio format. Once that book is converted into audio from the E format, then it is specifically using, right now, we're using one Amazon voice. And it is an Amazon voice. It's not Alexa. It is a specific Amazon voice. And that voice is a female voice. And that's the voice that the book is converted into. And when you hear it, I mean, she's very crisp, very clean. But right now, you can't speed her up. You can skip forward, you can skip back. And right now it jumps by headings. So whether that's a chapter heading, a number heading, that's how it's going to go forward or backwards. And they're working on different things. Like I said, by the time it's all said and done, you will be able to skip forward, say by paragraph, by page, by chapter. You will be able to speed up the playback because everyone listens at different speeds. You will be able to search and download. And I can tell you right now, with New York in mind, one of the most popular search results is from the New York Times book list. And that is going to be one of the first, because of having over 1 million titles. The search options will be implemented in little bites because that's overwhelming to try to put that many results at one time. So I do know that one of their very first search results will be done through the New York book list, whether it's top 10 by genre for that week, top 10 overall books sold that week. That will be one of the very first search results that will be available. And then as time progresses, I know right now we're looking at maybe every month, every 2 months, then they will gradually filter in more and more book results. So when it is done, then you will be able to actually get the results from the over 1 million titles. You will be able to get those results and learn just by talking to the skill how to filter your results to decrease the results that you're going through.
Absolutely.
great.
If
I
folks
have
are,
the,
oh, you got it?
go
All
ahead.
right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I do. But that's fine, Sam. I didn't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you weren't, I'm really excited. Want people to hear this because it's so great. So if you can share it, go for it. I was just gonna say I can try it on my end if folks are willing to put up with a little bit of audio from a screen reader. But if you've got it on that end, then sounds good.
Yep, we're all set.
Echo, launch Bookshare.
Welcome to Bookshare Reader. Would you like to continue reading The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes where we left off?
No.
Okay. Would you like to read a book or list your books?
List my books.
Here are your available books. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, The Sanatorium, The Russian, Before She Disappeared, The Perfect Family. Which book would you like to read?
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, let's read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Surrounded by none of the grim and strange features which were associated with the two crimes which I have elsewhere recorded. Still, the nature of the case and the exalted station of his client gave it a character of its own. Indeed, apart from the nature of the investigation which my friend had on hand, there was something in his masterly grasp of a situation.
Echo, skip forward.
I don't know that one.
Incisive
Echo.
reasoning.
Skip forward.
I don't know that one.
Made it a pleasure to me to study
Echo.
his system.
Go back.
To Sherlock Holmes, she is always the woman. I have seldom heard him mention her
Echo.
under any other.
Go forward.
2. At 3 o'clock precisely I was at Baker Street, but Holmes
Echo.
had not yet.
Go forward.
3. I slept at Baker Street that night, and we were engaged upon our toast and coffee when the King of Bohemia rushed into the
Echo.
room.
Go back.
2. At 3 o'clock precisely I was at Baker Street, but Holmes had not yet returned.
Echo,
The landlady.
stop. So as you can see, sometimes you have to get the right wording in order to get it to do what you want it to do.
That is absolutely incredible. And I know for me, even as a longtime Bookshare user who is familiar with downloading the right format and getting the right thing on the right thing, because I've been a Bookshare user since back in the day when that was the only way you could do it. This is going to really revolutionize even how I read books once this becomes widely available. But you know what? You don't have to wait for the Amazon skill to be available, because there's lots of easy ways that you can get access to Bookshare books, because Bookshare has made sure to partner with and to add support to a number of great tools that are extremely useful for those of us who are blind and visually impaired and who want to read books. And there's a few of them that I can recommend and that I can talk about, but they're nowhere close to all of them, because Bookshare really focuses on making sure that they're everywhere you read. And so one great tool is an app for your phone called Voice Stream Reader. And that app is available to you on your iOS device, or it's available to you on your Android device. And once you get Voice Stream Reader downloaded and installed, all you'd have to do is add your Bookshare username and password into the app. And once you've done that, directly from the Voice Stream Reader app on your phone, you can browse for books. You can browse those special collections that Darren was talking about, like the New York Times bestseller list. You can browse by genre. You can see books that have been newly added, or you can search for books by title or author. And you can do all of that directly from the Voice Stream Reader app on your phone without ever having to go to a browser, without ever having to worry about uploading or downloading files, without any of that. Similarly, here in Canada, and I'm sure in the US, another tool that's pretty popular is Dolphin Easy Reader. And that, of course, is another app that's available on iOS. It's also available on Windows as well as some other platforms. And, Dolphin Easy Reader, not only does it interface with Bookshare, and not only does it allow you to search and download books directly to your app without ever having to use a browser or anything like that, but it also interfaces with many other libraries, because Bookshare is an accessible ebook library, and they're great at what they do. But they're not the only folks who do this, and some of you may have access to other kinds of content from outside of Bookshare. And the Dolphin Easy Reader app, one of the nice advantages of it is it'll bring all those things into one place. So you can search them all, and you can keep all your reading material in one app, as opposed to having, one place to go to read these titles and another place to go to read some other titles. And there's also Captive Voice, which is an app that I believe is also cross-platform and is fully accessible. And, all of these apps are really will give you a great experience as you read Bookshare books, because Bookshare has made sure that the books are well marked up, so you can navigate always by chapter or by paragraph or by sentence or whatever you need to do. And all of these apps will offer you clear, easy to listen to voices, where you can adjust the speed of what you're listening to, where you can read faster, slower, change the pitch, where you can change the voice to best suit what you need. And best of all, because it's an ebook, you can search and you can bookmark and you can leave yourself notes and you can do all of those great things. But even better.
Hey, Sam.
Yeah.
I'll just say, before you leave the app, Bookshare has their own reading app called Read to Go.
Yes, another great app. I actually have it installed on my iPhone as well.
Okay.
I have all the reading apps that are available.
That one's actually done by Bookshare.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for reminding me of that. Read to Go is an app developed, specifically by Bookshare for your phones. And we've talked a lot about phones, but what if you want to read on your computer? Well, that's easy too. Bookshare offers downloads in file formats like EPUB. And EPUB is a standard format for ebooks that is supported by almost every ebook reader on the market. So you're not restricted to just apps that support Bookshare, or to just apps that have thought about Bookshare and that know what it is. No, you can download an EPUB file and you can bring that into whatever ebook reading app that you would like to use, whether it's on your phone or on your computer, or maybe you have a Kindle or some other kind of talking device that you would like to read your books on. And even better than that, if you're on your computer, you don't even need to download a book, Bookshare has their web reader that you can just bring the book up right in your browser and you can read it right from there. It's great if you're on a computer and maybe you're researching for an article that you're writing, or you're researching for an essay, or you are, researching some industry knowledge and you want to make notes, or you want to write a report about it, so you want to be on your computer. Reading on your computer is also easy and can be done in any app of your choice, or in just right in the web browser, and you can bring that up and Bookshare will show you the book right then and there, and you'll be all ready to go.
No, thank you, Sam. That was really great to mention the web reader. I wanted to just say two quick things just before we did move on. And Darren had mentioned, the Read to Go app that that was created, but we really are not supporting that. We're moving more toward the Bookshare reader. That web reader that we do currently have is getting a really big overhaul, and that will be really another great reading experience. As you said, Sam, certainly it will be, it is a web reader, so it's going to be available on any device that has the internet. And as you said, you can just access the books right then and there. It will pop them open initially, or immediately, I should say. And to be a really, really nice option. So we are very excited about that release. That's going to be coming out in the fall, potentially into next winter as well. But that is the really big push right now. It's really going to be great.
Man, there's so much exciting stuff going on at Bookshare. You guys are always pushing the boundaries of what it means to read and to access books and to be accessible. But speaking of all of this boundary pushing, I've talked a little bit about how those who work with us at Fable here all get access to Bookshare because it's so important to us. But learning, being employed at Fable certainly isn't the only way to get access to Bookshare. And so Vanessa, why don't I turn it over to you to close us off, to tell us about how to get access to this revolutionary service and all of these titles and all of these books, and what are the ways some folks can take advantage of this.
Absolutely. So as previously said, as Lynette was talking, certainly the qualifications for Bookshare, and then the secondary piece is exactly what Sam is saying. How do I actually get Bookshare? So first of all, anyone who is a college student, so whether you're a younger college student, an older college student, if you're taking classes through Hadley School, we are able to offer Bookshare for free for college students. Now we're talking about employment and obviously learning certainly as being a main piece of that. So through your school, through Hadley, for example, another university, you are able to get Bookshare memberships for free. You are also able to pay for a membership. It is a $50 fee. It's annual, and there are no other fees associated with it. So you can pay the one-time fee, you have Bookshare, and you can download as many books as you want for a calendar year, and that is available to you. Also, in terms of some of the qualifications, sometimes we get this question. So I think I qualify, but you do have to provide a proof of disability. If you are a member of the NLS, so there's two pieces to this, and I want to make sure that people understand this. Sometimes it can be a little confusing. If you're a member of the NLS, you also automatically qualify for Bookshare, because just as you would qualify to receive services through the NLS in whatever state you are in, you also would qualify for Bookshare. So that's one thing. But in New York in particular, the New York Public Library has purchased memberships. So they give them out to patrons. So you would not need to pay for a membership. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 on the NLS in New York, where you qualify for Bookshare through their services. You're providing them what is required for us, but also they are paying for the memberships. And there are some other places within the United States that do that as well. The NLS pays for some memberships. Additionally, you can also potentially get a membership through the Commission for the Blind, whether that's in New York, New Jersey, potentially in Connecticut, other states as well. That would be a discussion through your VR counselor. And Sam certainly will talk a little bit about some of that advocacy piece and talking about why Bookshare would be relevant to you and how it will help you in your career. So it is possible to get the $50 fee paid through there. And the last piece would be through your employer. Sometimes we have seen that as well. Again, Fable is obviously one example. There are others as well, where if it is relevant to your job, right, to your everyday work, whether it might be a goal that you may have in a performance evaluation, there may be some possibility as well for that, and advocating through your employer for them to pay for that, or for you to pay for it and get it reimbursed. So there are a variety of ways to access Bookshare, as previously discussed. But Sam, did you want to add anything specifically in terms of that advocacy piece?
Yeah, absolutely. I think too many people think of books as something that's optional or something that is a luxury, and it is simply not true. If you are in the job search market today, books from Bookshare can help you prepare for your job interview. They can help you be a better communicator. Depending on what job you're in, they can also help you look for places to work. They can help you find jobs. They can help you find paid opportunities. They can help you learn the skills that you need to get your job. And so if you have counselors, if you have support folks, talk to them about that. And you may well be able to get Bookshare paid for, through those programs that are supporting you as you look for employment. And when it comes to, if you happen to have a job, every employer wants their employees to succeed and to gain skills and to be able to promote their employees onto newer and bigger things, and for their employees to be able to do the job that they're doing now better. And Bookshare is always a key part of that. No matter what you do, no matter where you work, your job involves a skill that Bookshare can help you improve. Whether it's working on the phone at a call center, Bookshare can help you learn how to be a better listener, how to be a more emotional communicator, how to be a better problem solver, or just how to deal with stress. Whether you're working at a tech company and you need to learn the latest in programming or the latest in web development, whatever you're doing, Bookshare has the books to help you. And so, feel free to approach your employer and to say, hey, this is something that I would like to have and that I would like to get access to. They may not be able to help you through the steps of proving your disability and that kind of thing, but every employer that I've talked to has some kind of program where you can send them a qualifying receipt and they will reimburse you for that expense. So, like Vanessa said, if you may have to pay for it up front, but don't be afraid to approach your employer and say, this is a real tool that is useful for me to upskill, and I would like to have this as part of my employment accommodations. Because you know what, $50 a year for everything that you get for unlimited reading, I mean, what an incredible bargain. It's for an employer, it really is. It's absolutely worth it. And so I think that's all I have to say. Vanessa, would you like to add anything, or would any of our other panelists like to add some closing thoughts tonight? Because I'm sensitive to time, and I know it's getting close to 8.
Yeah, I do have a closing suggestion for anyone with Fable who has any ideas, suggestions, or anything as far as the Bookshare Alexa skill. If they go through our normal Fable email chat group, I see all the messages in there. And part of me helping them develop the skill is taking suggestions on what you'd like to see. So any suggestions from one person may prompt someone else to think, you know what, I didn't think of that. That makes me think of this or that. So if the Fable community testers want to do them in one of the email chats, believe me, I will get the information passed on to the people that need to know. We meet at least once a month, but I have 2 contact people that I can talk to anytime, and I'm always passing on the suggestions. We have a Bookshare beta test group on WhatsApp, and I get a lot of feedback from that group, and I pass all that information on. And they provided me some text copy that I'm not sure how Sam and Fable want to use it, along with the Bookshare information on the beta skill. But a lot of the ideas and suggestions that are in that text copy came from feedback from beta testers. So believe me, they are listening, because we are the people that are going to use it. We are the people that they want to use it, and they want as many people to use it because it's supposed to be made easy. Reading should not be hard. They want you to focus on what you're reading, not how to get it. So they want to make it easy. So believe me, the suggestions and ideas will be passed along to the right people.
Absolutely. And if anyone here has heard that demo and has thought, man, it'd be really great if X, Y, or Z, feel free to put your suggestions in the chat here in the Q&A, and Darren will get them, and Vanessa will get them, and they'll get onto the right places, because I mean, that's the secondary part of why Bookshare is such a close partner to us at Fable, because, you know, we really believe in that saying, nothing about us without us. And Bookshare also believes in that, and everything that they do and all of the wonderful new things that they roll out come from the community, and the community is always involved in every step of what Bookshare is doing. And, you know, for Fable, we'd like every company to be like that eventually.
Oh, great. I definitely want to open it up to any questions that anyone might have, or comments. I always, you know, I'm always curious to hear what people think. If you are a Bookshare user, or something that you heard tonight was, you know, of interest to you, I would be happy to hear it, even if, you know, again, good, bad, and, you know, anything. So certainly this is a time for some feedback or comments or questions about anything that you have related to Bookshare. So I just wanted to open that up to that.
Absolutely. And if you are with us tonight on your browser or on the Zoom client, you can open the chat panel, put your suggestions there. You can open the Q&A box and put your suggestions there. Or if you are on the telephone, a reminder of what I said at the beginning of this webinar, you can dial star, that's the asterisk key, 9, the number 9, and that will raise your hand, and we will see that you have a question that you would like to ask, and we can go ahead and unmute you. As well, if you are on desktop or browser and you'd like to ask a question by speaking, you can also click the raise hand button that you will find in your Zoom window, and you can go ahead and ask a question. So let's give it a couple of minutes for folks. I'm not seeing any questions just now, but if you do have any, absolutely feel free to put them in. And you know, if you think of something afterwards that you really wish that you would have asked, or that you know really, oh, I wish I would have asked that, absolutely feel free to get in touch with us. You can find the Fable folks at our website, makeitfable.com, and you can find more about what we do at makeitfable.com/community. And you can find the Bookshare folks at bookshare.org, and they have contact forms, and they have excellent ways that you can get in touch with them if you know, you have that feeling where you wake up at 2 in the morning and you say, I really wish I would have asked this particular thing. And hey, thanks Anthony, posted in the chat that that he enjoyed the presentation. And you know, if you're not already a Bookshare user, we hope that that you will become one. And you know, if you have any questions about that process as well, feel free to ask.
No, of course. Well, I was going to say that Tony is he is a plant. He does work with me at Bookshare, and I appreciate it. He is been a wonderful coworker. So I'm glad that we did a good job, Tony. I appreciate that. That's wonderful.
All right. And you know, as I said, this webinar has been recorded, and so that recording will be made available. I don't know, Vanessa, have we worked out, is it going to be available through Fable or available through yourselves? But we will work that out, and we will send out some emails, and we will make some posts, and we will make sure that everyone who's with us tonight gets access to that recording, and everyone who wanted to be with us but could not, as well as anyone who just might want to hear this recorded presentation, will get access to it.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
All right, that said, I think I'm going to end the recording of this presentation tonight. I'd like to thank you all so much for taking some time out of your evening to come and join us and hear about Fable and about Bookshare and about how we work together and about what Bookshare has to offer to you and you know, why it's so important. And I'd like to thank all of my panelists for being here with me tonight. Darren for recording an excellent demo and for bringing your passion as a regular user of Bookshare and as a tester with Fable for everything they do. Lynette, our community manager, for being with me tonight and assisting me with the presentation and helping Darren and myself and everyone get coordinated and make sure that this all happened and was as great as it could be. And Vanessa for making this happen and for putting this forward and saying, hey, this is something that we should do and this is something that we should try. It's been really great and I've really enjoyed doing it. That said, I'm going to end the recording and I hope all of you have a lovely evening.
You too. Thank you.
You too.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.